Once upon a time where we
smoke some trees,
act funny,
talk fairy tale history,
and try not to get drunk.
All right, well, hey, everybody, I'm
Beautiful.
Johnny Hauser, and this is another episode of Blunts Upon a Time, Season 3. Hooray! Woo! So as I'm sure you can, if you're watching on the video, you can see we have as our guest the very famous and hilarious... The local legend, the adopted son of West Michigan by way of West New York, Buffalo area.
Yeah.
The one and only Stu McCallister.
Hooray. Thanks. I'm going to completely forget that thing.
That's okay. That's fine.
I'm not sure it's always a good thing to be the local legend, too.
Well,
it just means, like, yeah, he ended things right there.
Right. Well, I mean, to be fair, full disclosure, we've had a lot of local legends on our show. So, I mean, I wouldn't go so far as say it's select company. But
Very good. Very good. That's
but
nice.
anyway, thank you again so much, Stu, for being on. Now, as I said, you're a comedian from the area. I've done stand-up comedy for a long time.
Too long.
You also have a very successful podcast that you've done for a number of years now, the Elemento podcast, which is a great one.
It is not.
And we'll
don't lie.
we'll have
Links
all the
below.
information we'll put up on the screen for that. But anything else you want to talk about you got going on? Or?
Not really. That's about it. I have an episode. I know you guys do seasons and all. I don't. I just podcast daily. So I'll be on episode 1000 for the Patreon in April.
Wow.
And
Congratulations. 1,000 episodes.
It just means
That's
I'm too
awesome.
dumb to quit. Is really what that means.
Well, I get that.
And I'll be doing a live podcast for that. So,
nice. Nice.
That'll be something.
That's really cool. Well, hey, like I said, congratulations.
Thanks.
Now, as I mentioned, you're from Buffalo, so we actually earlier ate some buffalo wings.
I appreciate that.
For
You
our
guys
meal.
knew.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll try to get some photos of that before we. I got to remember to do that, but we'll get those up as we could share as well. Some photos of the wings that we.
They were
we
good.
had and whatnot. Yeah, they were delicious. So,
Hit it out of the park.
hope you enjoyed them. And unfortunately, all of our teams are out of it in the NFL, so we're just not even going to mention that. That's all we're going to say at that point. So
They're all done.
we just had buffalo wings, and we'll leave it at that. So again, thank you so much for being here. So
Thank you.
as I mentioned briefly, this is actually the debut of season 3 for us. So very exciting. We've done nearly 30 episodes at this point. So,
That's great.
As we mentioned previously, we're starting to get into some more lesser-known fairy tales as it is. So I'll go ahead and let you guys know, everyone know, what we are going to be reading today. So today's fairy tale is The Polar Bear King.
Don't know it.
No, this is, I would say, definitely one of the lesser known. So this is The Polar Bear King is actually an American fairy tale.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, it was actually published in a collection called American Fairy Tales. Yes, it was in 1901.
Astonishing.
Man, the
So is it-
research on this show is crazy.
I dive deep, and I hold my breath for a long time while I'm down there. So it was published in 1901. American Fairy Tales is the name of the collection. There was 12 stories. This was one of them, and the author of all 12, or the collector, I guess I think in this case he actually took credit for really being the author on all of them. Was none other than L. Frank Baum.
What?
Now, so you might recognize
Yeah,
that
I
name.
certainly do.
Yes, Stu,
What?
go ahead. I will give you, I'll tell you what. If we have a tie in fairy tale trivia, I will give a bonus point here for anyone that can tell me why L. Frank Baum. Stu, I think obviously
I know.
knows, so I'll let you
I
guys
know.
go first.
He invented Frank Baum, the salve you apply to your penis.
Okay.
To your penis?
Frank Baum, yeah.
Frank
Don't you
Baum.
remember Frank
Right.
Baum? It gave you verb and moxie.
It's the balm for your Frank.
That is L. Frank Baum, B-A-U-M.
Baum for your schlong.
Baum, like lip
L.
balm.
Frank Baum.
Absolutely.
B-A-U-M.
I retract my answer.
Baum?
Baum.
Like Bosch and Lom. Wait,
Kind of
no,
Baum.
Baum.
B-A-U-M. Baum.
Baum.
Yeah. L. Frank Baum.
Baum.
So, okay. So, penis cream. Also known as Jimmy.
I didn't realize this was that kind of podcast.
It's any kind we decide as we go. So what do you think L. Frank Baum was famous for before
It's
this?
It's not this.
No, no, he was already quite famous for something
Something
before this.
other than this.
Yes.
Did the other thing he was famous for come out before the
One 1 year before this.
Okay, all right.
This was released 1 year after he gained fame for his other thing.
Oh, what the fuck? I have no idea. Lip balm? No.
It's not a bomb.
Bomb. It's a bomb. I can't get that out of my head.
It's a Shana song.
I don't know. What is it?
Okay, Stu, do you know it?
He wrote The Wizard of Oz.
He did. He was the author of The Wizard of Oz. Yes.
Okay.
So that came out. The book was released in 1900.
So I think he was an opiate addict, wasn't he?
You know, I didn't go that deep into his background.
Was it
although,
that time, that era where everybody was like,
well, it was the early 1900s, late 1800s, so it very well could have been.
Yeah,
certainly there was opium dens and things like that. Yeah. In the little bit of Google Wikipedia research I did on him, I didn't find that out. But hey, that's a great thing to speculate on. We've made greater speculations about authors before. So yeah, he was a raging opium addict. Why not? Sounds good, Stu. Thanks for adding.
I just thought it was assumption, not
insanity.
I mean, well, not only The Wizard of Oz, but if you truly want to see how insane he was, the sequel he wrote, the Return to Oz that they made into a movie with with what's her name, actress that was in the Craft and a couple other things. Anyway,
I remember her. It was Dick Baum.
That's what it was, Dick Baum. Dick Baum.
Yeah.
So this particular collection was 1901 by L. Frank Baum. And as I mentioned, the title of this particular tale, the one of the 12 that was in the book, is The King of the Polar Bears. Once upon a time, the king of the polar bears lived among the icebergs in the far north country. He was old and monstrous big. He was wise and friendly to all who knew him.
I still don't know if this is a polar bear that is a king or a king that just has polar bears.
Well, you're about to find out.
Okay, cool.
I bet he's a polar bear.
So, the king of the polar bears lived in the icebergs. Yeah, he was old and monstrous big. He was wise and friendly to all who knew him. Okay, fair. His body was thickly covered with long white hair and glistened like silver under the rays of the midnight sun. His claws were strong and sharp that he might. So it's still ambiguous.
Still kind of
that he might walk safely over the smooth ice or grasp and tear the fishes and seals upon which he fed. So yes, he is a polar bear. He is the polar bear and the king of all the polar bears.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The seals were afraid when he drew near and tried to avoid him. But the gulls, both white and gray, loved him because he left the remnants of his feast for them to devour. Often his subjects, the polar bears, came to him for advice when ill or in trouble, but they wisely kept away from his hunting grounds lest they might interfere with his sport and arouse his anger. The wolves, who sometimes came as far north as the icebergs. This does kind of sound a little Game of Thronesy, right? Like they're establishing where all the tribes are. Like the wolves who sometimes came to the North Country, but not as far as the Wall.
Like you come, you pay respect, but you don't ever fuck with his you don't eat on his turf.
Oh, yeah. Right. So the wolves, who sometimes came as far north as the icebergs, whispered among themselves that the king of the polar bears was either a magician or under the protection of a powerful fairy.
I'm pretty sure it's a bear. You guys are gonna. I wouldn't go see that magic act.
The wolves were not smart. So, for no earthly thing seemed able to harm him. He never failed to secure plenty of food, and he grew bigger and stronger day by day and year by year.
Shocking. The biggest, baddest thing out there is perfectly fine in that ecosystem.
The wolves are like, I don't get it. The guy that doesn't have to hunt with 9 of his brothers and sisters seems to be doing just fine.
Then one day, man melted the ice caps.
Don't get ahead of us. Don't get ahead of us.
Jimmy, what are you?
Yeah, easy there, wizard. The bear has magical powers, not you, Jimmy. Settle down. So again, he grew bigger and stronger, never had want of food. So yet the time came when this monarch of the north met man, and his wisdom failed him. He came out of his cave among the icebergs one day and saw a boat moving through the strip of water which had been uncovered by the shifting of the summer ice. In the boat were men. The great bear had never seen such creatures before, and therefore advanced toward the boat, sniffing the strange scent with aroused curiosity, and wondering whether he might take them for friends or foes, food or carry-on. And that will actually lead us to our first fairy tale trivia. All right, God has spoken.
Who was saying that?
Yes.
It's magical.
So this is our first fairy tale trivia question. So as we would normally do on fairy tale trivia, our guests and each of us Jimmy, Denzel, would smoke and then answer the question. We know you're not going to be participating in that today, which is perfectly fine. Not a requirement of any guest that's watching, potential guest wants to be on the show. You do not have to participate, no problem. But Jimmy and Denzel and I are all going to do that. So as you see, they're lighting up. But Stu, you will get to go first.
All right.
And just to let everyone know, so you know, and if this is your first time checking out an episode, we do keep track of the score and who wins, but you get nothing, and there's nothing for any
Then
winner.
why keep score?
Because we want to make fun of Jimmy for losing.
Jimmy. All right. So do I get to choose?
So I will let you go first. I'm going to go ahead and read it.
Well,
So the first fairy tale trivia question, which you'll get the first option. How did the humans react to the king of the polar bears? KOPB.
Are you going to read the options?
Yes.
Okay.
So
For our podcast
yeah, because for
listeners.
people listening who may not be able to
Yes.
see it, yeah. So how did the humans react to seeing the king of the polar bears? Did they A, flee in terror? Did they B, shoot at him? Did they C, greet him curiously? Or D, did they just try to sail around him and avoid him?
Well, if this was written today, clearly it would be B, shoot at him.
Shoot at him. Okay. Yeah, just shoot first, ask questions later.
He's an immigrant or whatever. Shoot him.
Well, technically they're invaders on his land, so that's also the common reaction. Like,
They're still
still
going to
works.
shoot. I'm going to stick with that. So they shot at him. They shot at the king of the polar
They just,
bear.
first time they've seen a polar bear, and they're
like,
shoot
holy
it.
fuck it, that bear is talking. Shoot him.
it. Yeah, right. Okay, so you think it's B, shoot at him.
Yes.
So we'll just work our way around the table there. Denzel, you've had a chance to go ahead and take a hit. What do you think it is? How did the humans react to the king of the polar bears? Did they A, flee in terror, B, shoot at him, C, greet him curiously, or D, just try to sail around him?
Oh yeah, I gotta go with Stu on this one.
Smart.
They pull out the bang bangs on this one.
Just went straight up Clint Eastwood on him. Huh?
They felt small because they were, and then they had to shoot.
Nice. It's a good option.
I'm gonna.
All right, and we'll go ahead and work our way around to Jimmy. What do you think the humans did in reaction? Fleed in terror, A, B, shot at him, C, greeted him curiously, or D, tried to sail around him?
This is a kid's story. And,
Theoretically, that's a fairy tale.
Right, and I think they greeted him curiously. Yeah,
Okay.
they're probably hiding the real story, which is they shot at him curiously.
Curious, bang! Let's go see what it was.
This is the turn of the century. It's it's no more Wild West. We're coming into the 1900s here.
That's true. So, yep,
Right.
1901. All right.
I'm gonna.
All right. So you think they were curious? Like, let's go figure out what this thing is, and just
Right.
kind of went to greet him. So all right. Just to remind everyone, Stu said he thought they shot at him, and
course.
Denzel agreed, said B, shoot at him, and Jimmy
Blam.
said greet him curiously. So we will now return to the tale and find out what happened. So again, the bear sees the men in the boat, and he kind of goes up, and they react. So when the king came near the water's edge, a man stood up in the boat, and with a queer instrument made a loud bang.
Yeah, kablam!
So yeah, as it turns out, Denzel and Stu were right. They just fucking unloaded on him out of nowhere. Yep.
Mankind
Just decided
sucks.
to shoot him, right?
Yeah.
So the polar bear.
Polar Blairs.
I didn't get very
polar
far
bear?
that wasn't a complete meltdown. I
He
think
only
they're
got
still
shot
whining.
once. He didn't lose all of his shit. The poor bear.
Yeah, maybe
polar
I
bear.
got shot. I took one. All right, so the polar bear felt a shock. His brain became numb. His thoughts deserted him. His
he got
great
him.
limbs shook and gave way beneath him, and his body fell heavily upon the hard ice.
Oh, no.
Damn, King is down.
Right? Took one. That was all he remembered for a time. When he awoke, he was smarting with pain on every inch of his huge bulk, for the men had cut away his hide, and with its glory, and with it,
What the fuck?
you
all right over there?
No.
No.
All right. Let's
Shake it off.
It's hard at
Dude,
times.
it's just scrambled eggs up there, dude. Like
covered
just,
it, yeah.
You gotta bear with him.
Yeah. All right.
Polar bear.
Polar bear with him.
Polar bear. Polar
All
bear.
right. Now I'm gonna have to keep that in.
That's why I'm here.
Good job. So, all right, when he awoke, he was smarting with pain on every inch of his huge bulk, for the men had cut away his hide with its glorious white hair and carried it with them to a distant ship.
So he was naked?
He was skinned.
Yeah, bro. He woke up
Skinned,
with
yeah,
no skin
completely
on.
skinned.
What the fuck?
So above him circled thousands of his friends, the gulls, wondering if their benefactor were really dead and if it was proper to eat him.
Hold on. Like he has hooked us up in the past,
but if
like,
he's dead,
that's
I
a lot.
mean,
Like look at him. He's sucking.
somebody gonna eat him. I mean, it might as well be us,
Like, you
right?
see how fat
Not those
he's gotten?
goddamn wolves.
Yeah, that's right.
So they wondered if it was going to be proper to eat him. But when they saw him raise his head and groan and tremble, they knew he still lived. And one of them said to his comrades,
He needs some balm.
he needs that dick
Exactly.
balm.
Oh God, who's got the bomb?
So one of the gulls said to his comrades, "The wolves were right. The king is a great magician, for even men cannot kill him, but he suffers for lack of covering. Let us repay his kindness to us by giving him as many feathers as we can spare." The idea pleased the gulls. One after the other, they plucked with their beaks and the softest feathers from under their wings, and flying down, dropped them gently upon the body of the king of the polar bears.
That's some dope shit.
Yeah, they all just started like, let's just make him a new coat, right? Like everybody gives a piece. So then they called to him in a chorus, "Courage, friend! Our feathers are as soft and beautiful as your own shaggy hair. They will guard you from the cold winds and warm you while you sleep. Have courage then and live!" And the king of the polar bears had courage to bear his pain and lived and was strong again.
He was like, respect.
This does kind of sound like the end of John Wick 2, I feel like, as well.
Right.
Like,
I remember.
like those bums found him like, "Hey, I know you're about to die, but here's a coat. I got you."
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Is that when Lawrence Fishburne covered him in pigeon shit?
Yeah, and then took like
feathers
21
and-
cuts for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. So anyway, so he respects their gesture, finds his courage and bears the pain, and that I find that an odd. Like, it literally says that the king of the polar bears had courage to bear his pain. I'm like,
Right.
fuck you, L. Frank.
This is 1901. People got shot for puns like that.
So did bears, apparently. So the feathers grew as they had grown upon the bodies of the birds and covered him as his own hair had done. Mostly they were pure white in color, but some from the gray gulls gave his majesty a slight mottled appearance. The rest of that summer and all through the 6 months of night, the king left his icy cavern only to fish or catch seals for food. He felt no shame at his feathery covering, but it was still strange to him, and he avoided meeting any of his brother bears. During this period of retirement, he thought much of the men who had harmed him and remembered the way they had made the great bang. And he was,
The Great Bang.
the great bang, yeah, like
with
this.
the dick bomb.
With the dick bang, yeah. Like he's a big feathered up guy now, and he's talking about a great bang. And he decided it was best to keep away from such fierce creatures. Thus, he added to his store of wisdom. When the moon fell away from the sky and the sun came to make the icebergs glitter with the gorgeous tintings of the rainbow,
You had it.
Tintings,
Yeah, I was gonna
yeah,
say.
the glorious
Continue.
tintings of the rainbow.
Continue.
To taint.
Two of the polar bears arrived at the king's cavern to ask for his advice about the hunting season. And that will lead us to Fairy Tale Trivia number 2. All right, so we are at Fairy Tale Trivia number 2. For those of you scoring at home or might have gotten high like we did and perhaps forgotten,
We forgot.
Stu has 1 point,
Thank
Denzel has 1 point, Jimmy has 0.
Jimmy.
He's going to make a comeback, perhaps.
Don't call it a comeback.
No, we never have. All right,
well.
so we will actually let Jimmy go first this time. We'll invert the order. So the second question now, so for the first time since his accident, he's covered in feathers now instead of fur. He's kind of been, tucked away, recovering. It's like, kind of like one of the Batman movies, like nobody sees him for what he's got to recover strength.
Right.
So now for the first time, two of his bears, his subjects are coming to ask for advice as they would normally do. So the question is, how did the bears react to seeing the new state of affairs of the king of the polar bears?
They shot him.
Well, I don't think that's actually one of the options. So, all right. So, Jimmy, you get to go first. So, how did the bears react to seeing the king of the polar bears?
You got to read the choices.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
Apologies.
right.
Apologies.
So, did they A, mock and laugh at him? B, bow in reverence, as they normally would? C, flee from him as they assumed it was some new evil spirit?
Why?
Or D, did they fact check him to confirm he was actually the king he claimed to be?
I like this.
They I don't think they snoped him in
D?
1901.
All right.
No.
Well, that might be my parlance, just to be fair.
Right. To answer Stu's question, they would have fled from him, assuming an evil
Fled?
spirit, because he's a fucking giant chicken bear.
Yeah, like he doesn't look like what they remember.
They're definitely not bowing in reverence. I think they're mocking and laughing at him.
Oh, so they're just gonna straight up be like, look at you dumbass.
No
You
respect.
ain't so bad anymore, are you?
Right. And you're covered in scabs and feathers and shit.
All right, so you think they mocked and laughed him?
Yeah.
Even though it's the king. All right, so Denzel, we'll go to you next. So yeah, Denzel, we will go to you next. I'll give you a moment to think about it while I light up here.
Oh no. So I think it's pretty. I don't know, man. I think they fact check him.
All right, so again, the choices are A,
'cause,
mock him and laugh at him. B, bow in reverence. C, flee from him because they think he's an evil spirit. Or D, fact check him. Like, all right, if you're the king, then tell us this.
No, they're gonna fact check him. Like, nah, who the fuck are you?
Okay.
You know, with all these feathers and shit.
Yeah. So
Like,
they're just
that
going to be
didn't
like,
even
who
look
are
like a
you? And
bear.
he's going to be
Like-
like, I'm the king. And be like, nah,
They're
prove
like,
it.
nah,
you ain't
what the hell happened to you?
All right.
So
So you think it's D, fact check?
Yeah.
Hey, all right.
Because I think it's about to be a revenge tour.
Oh,
Ooh, all right.
like,
Now,
there
is a lot of
after they
revenge
figure
in
out who it
fairy
is, they
tales.
be like, yo, go get them motherfuckers.
All right. So you think D, fact check him. So then we'll go
Yeah.
to our guests last, but certainly not least. Stu, do you think they A, mocked and laughed at him, B, bowed in reverence, C, fled from him as an evil spirit, or D, fact checked him?
I want to ask my fellow trivia people. Do you think at any point he's going to fly away? I almost feel with these chicken feathers or pigeon feathers where he's going to fly.
I think at one point while he was alone,
Are you trying to get extra credit by predicting again?
I'm just trying to think.
I think he's too heavy to fly.
Okay.
I think it's just covering.
I think he at least tried.
Like a
I would
goose down
try.
coat.
I would
yeah.
try too.
Yeah.
All right.
Very good.
Interesting thought about the future.
This is going to blow everybody's mind away, but I'm going to disagree with both of these guys. I'm going C, flee from assumed evil spirit.
So they just freaked out like, man, bear, pig, and ran away.
Yeah. I think it's bear chicken.
It's probably going to be
chicken
bow
bear,
and reverence.
whatever.
It's going to be the one none
Right.
of us picked.
Yeah.
All right. So we will now see what we're going to do score-wise.
All
So
right.
let's find out how did the Bears react to seeing the king, their new king, in his new situation.
Oh boy.
So the two bears walked up to the cave, but when they saw his great body covered with feathers instead of hair, they began to laugh, and one said, "Our mighty king has become a
no
bird."
respect.
What the fuck?
Yes,
No
so they
respect.
immediately mocked him and called him out.
How?
So Jimmy,
Dirtbags.
oh my God, he got a
Man.
point, which now brings it to a three-way tie. However, there is a bonus point in Stu's pocket if it's a tie. Remember, let's not forget that.
All right.
So yes,
like
Jimmy was correct. They immediately laughed at him and began to mock him by
Good for
saying,
you, Jimmy.
Yeah, right.
Good for you.
I know asshole bears when I hear
Yeah, right. They did. Yeah, they. I don't know why, but they seemed like even when I was reading the first time, like these guys are gonna be dicks. So yeah, they immediately laughed him, and one even said, "Our mighty king has become a bird. Whoever heard of a feathered polar bear?" Well, then the king gave way to wrath. He advanced upon them with deep growls and
Give 'em that
stately
work.
tread, and with one blow of his monstrous paw, stretched the mocker lifeless at his feet.
Got him.
So yeah, one blow and just fucking killed that one dude. He's like, I've had
Killed that
enough of
bitch.
your
Remember
shit.
that
who
bear.
you talking to, son.
Yeah, right.
that bear's really the cock of the walk.
Yes. So the other ran away to his fellows and carried the news of the king's strange appearance. The result was a meeting of all the polar bears upon a broad field of ice, where they talked gravely of the remarkable change that had come upon their monarch. "He is in reality no longer a bear," said one, "nor can he justly be called a bird. But if he is half bird and half bear, and so unfitted to remain our king, then who shall take his place?" asked another. "He who can fight the bird bear and overcome it."
Fight the bird bear.
Remember
The bird
so yeah,
bear.
now like they've already made him like
Oh,
a mythical
shit.
creature.
Right. Now I kind of want him to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, because now he's being called the bird bear,
The
he's got to
bird
fly.
bear.
Gotta take a shit on him. you
Yeah.
know?
I wasn't in it
Does
first.
a
but
bear
Can't take
shit above the forest? Of
Right.
course he does.
Yeah.
From high altitude.
I wasn't in it first, but now I'm really into this story.
Bird bear fight. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Tom.
immediately like, all right, well, who can fight the bird bear and overcome him?
Yeah, because he just smacked the teeth out of somebody.
Just smacked the life out of him.
Why didn't they make this instead of Wizard of Oz?
Right. It's the Wizard of Oz too. Like they should have just made this. Yeah.
This should have been the first color movie. Like the first time you see it is boom.
You're in the
blood
land of the
red.
bird bear now, motherfucker.
Bird bear and the smack of death.
Red everywhere.
I'm gonna send you to the wizard. in a box.
Hollywood. Call me.
Call us. All right. So yeah, who can fight the bird bear and overcome him? Answered an aged member of the group. So like, yeah, the old wise bear is the one that comes up with this plan too.
He knows better.
He's like, I ain't doing it.
I've seen this.
How can I immediately unvolunteer for what this
It's what
solution
has
is?
to happen, but like I'm about to get murked real quick.
Who should we pick? Definitely the strongest, not the old guy.
Right.
So yeah, he says only the strongest is fit to rule our race. There was silence for a time, but at length a great beer.
Great beer. It was delicious.
This turned into the Bud Bowl. But at length a great bear moved to the front and said, "I will fight him. I, Wolf, the strongest of our race."
Now we got Wolf Bear.
Wolf. Yeah. Not Wolf. Woof.
Wolf? How is that spelled?
W-O-O-F.
Oh, Jesus. Frank, he gave up.
This is a
penis
bear.
bomb didn't try very hard.
Is this a bear named Woof?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is this a guy named Woof?
That's a bear named Wolf. A polar bear named Wolf. I will fight him. I, Wolf, the strongest of our race, and I will be king of the polar bears.
He's dead.
Wolf the King. I don't know. I kind of like King Wolf. It's better than like Taserface or
Taserface.
I like that.
So the others nodded assent and dispatched a messenger to the king to say he must fight the great Wolf and master him or resign his sovereignty.
This dude just showed up in the story, and now he's the Great Wolf.
The great Wolf.
Like he's been here for all the 10
You've been
seconds.
challenged by the great and powerful Wolf. Like, all right, come on now. All right, for a bear with feathers, added the messenger, is no bear at all, and the king we obey must resemble the rest of us. So even the messenger's talking shit.
This story has gotten racist. This is so fucked up.
Who knows? He might get redeemed.
You've read the story. He's like, no.
So I wear feathers because it pleases me, growled the king. He's like, shit, I don't even care. I'm doing this because I want to.
Sure.
We don't have skin grafts yet.
Well, he's not even telling him the real reason. He's straight up saying, like, you know what, motherfucker, I'm doing this because I want to.
Whatever.
So he's like, am I not a great magician? But I will fight, nevertheless, and if Wolf masters me, he shall be king in my stead. So he's like, look, I'm a magician. I can do whatever I want, but fine, I'll do it your way. I'll fucking just beat him the old-fashioned way. Like claw to claw. So then he
Talon.
Talon. Talon.
All right.
So then he visited his friends, the gulls, who were even then feasting upon the dead bear and told them of the coming battle. So yeah, that dude he laid out, they're already like, yo, dinner time.
Y'all ready for dessert?
Like, you guys already eat the skin?
This dude is like a mob boss, and the gulls are his cleanup service. He's just like, hey, what should we do with the body? Don't worry about it. I got people.
I got the gulls.
So he visits them, and he tells them of this coming battle he's got to have. So I shall conquer, he said proudly. Yet my people are in the right, for only a hairy one like themselves can hope to command their obedience. So he's kind of like, look, they got a point. I mean, I don't expect them to follow someone, and even if I do win the fight, it's still going to be hard. You know, they got a point. So the queen gull said, I met an eagle yesterday, like a toddler.
The eagle's trying to fucking kill me.
So the queen gull says, I met an eagle yesterday, which had made its escape from a big city of men. And the eagle told me he had seen a monstrous polar bear skin thrown over the back of a carriage that rolled along the street. That skin must have been yours, O king, and if you wish, I will send 100 of my gulls to the city to bring it back to you. So again, this is kind of turning into John Wick. Like he's sort of like, yo, I'll send out my army. I got you. Like 100 of my warriors. Let them go, said the king gruffly, and the 100 gulls were soon flying rapidly southward.
It's all right. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Words are so hard.
You're good, man. You're good.
Let them go.
Who needs words when you have such fucking great writing like woof?
Woof, the great. Yes, the great and powerful Wolf. Let them go, said the king gruffly, and the 100 gulls were soon flying rapidly southward. For 3 days they flew straight as an arrow until they came to scattered houses, to villages, and to cities. Then their search began. The gulls were brave and cunning and wise. Upon the 4th day they reached the great metropolis and hovered over the streets until a carriage rolled along with a great white bear robe thrown over the black seat.
There we go.
Back seat. Back seat.
Why's the black seat got to be in the back?
God damn.
It was you know what? It's
God.
Slip of the
it's
tongue.
1901. That's why.
It's the story.
The tale of Rosa Parks had not yet been written.
Jesus.
All right, so then the bird. So they see this over the backseat of the carriage. So the birds swooped down, the whole 100 of them, and seizing the skin in their beaks, flew quickly away. They were late, however. The king's great battle was upon the 7th day, so they must fly swiftly to reach the polar regions by that time. Meanwhile, the bird bear was preparing for his fight. He sharpened his claws in the small crevasses of the ice. He caught a seal and tested his big yellow teeth by crunching its bones between them. And the green gull set her band to pluming the bear's feathers until they lay smoothly on his body. So yeah, basically he's doing a Rocky IV montage, like in the north, in the snow, just like
picking up logs.
Seal's thinking, I never thought I would die like that. Wow.
You're not even gonna eat me. This is bullshit.
I'm just practice.
I'm just gonna
We're talking about
crush-
practice.
Talking about practice, y'all.
Not a game.
not nothing.
Talking about practice.
Not eating a seal that I
Talking
die
about
for.
practice?
But fucking practice seals. All right. But every day they cast anxious glances into the southern sky, watching for the 100 gulls to bring back the king's own skin. So even though he's confident, he's still like, "Yuck, I'd really rather have I'd rather have my robe before I go into this fight. Like I need my gear." So the 7th day came, and all the polar bears in that region gathered around the king's cavern. Among them was Wolf, strong and confident of his success.
He'd have to show up.
Right?
Can you imagine the headlines the next day? Woof whiffs.
Wolf whiffs.
Yeah.
Wolf chickens out.
Right. Mrs.
He's now
Shift.
the bird bear.
Wolf whiffs, Mrs. Shift. Bears
Sorry.
think grift. All right, so the bird. So he's really confident. So Wolf strides out, strong and confident of his looming success. The bird bear's feathers will fly fast enough when I get my claws upon him, he boasted.
Talking shit.
He is. And the others laughed and encouraged him. So it's basically become a middle school fight in the in the schoolyard, right? So that will actually lead us to our third and final fairy tale trivia.
Glasses time.
All right, so for fairy tale trivia question number 3, and at this point everybody is all tied up at 1, so this could have huge implications, although reminding our viewers and listeners at home that Stu does have a bonus point in his pocket because of his wonderful trivia knowledge about our author, L. Frank Baum, the penis Baum guy.
Frank Baum.
Yes. All right, so Denzel, you'll get to go first. Excuse me, on fairy tale trivia question number 3. So at this point, the king is waiting for his skin to arrive for the battle, but it seems pretty clear at this point the bears have showed up. It still hasn't arrived. So spoiler alert, he's not going to get his skin in time for the battle. So the third question is, what did the king of the polar bears do without his skin? Once he realized wasn't going to have his skin for the battle the way he wanted. Did he A, try to stall, give the gulls time to get his skin there? Did he B, decide to fight anyway and lose? Did he C, decide to fight anyway and win? Or did he D, just concede defeat and disappear and say, "I'm gone. I can't even do this. You guys are on your own"?
I can't see that one. Like I would hope not. I'm rooting for. I want to say he stalls.
It's Woof.
The great Wolf. Don't forget about it.
No, but I want to say he fights anyway and wins, and then gets the skin later and fucking puts on like a fucking gangster.
Okay. All right. So you think it's he sees, fights without the skin, and wins?
It's either
anyway?
A or C for me, and I think I'm leaning C.
Okay. So you think it's C? We'll go to Stu, our guest, next. Stu, do you think it's A, try to stall, B, fight anyway and lose, C, fight anyway and win, D, just concede defeat and go into exile?
See, now I thought it would be C or D because I can see it. It was like because he was saying earlier, like, well, yeah, they deserve a king with fur, and so I gotta go. But I'm with you, man. I think it's C because he's a badass here to kill that one motherfucker. He's gonna kill another.
He's like, he basically looks and he's like,
Wolf
"Fuck
is
you, Joe.
dead.
I'll do it myself."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Wolf is dead.
Yeah.
So I'm going C.
Yeah, Wolf does seem to be a pompous ass, and that
He's-
rarely
yeah.
works
Wolf's
out
a
well in
bitch.
fairy tales. So, all right. So you think it's also C?
I do. I think it's C.
So we have 2 of the same answers so far, and lastly, Jimmy. Again, we're all tied. Do you think it was A, tried to stall, B, fight anyway and lose, C, fight anyway and win, or D, concede defeat and get out of there?
It's established that this polar bear is a magician. right?
He
So
does
I
seem
think-
to have some magical powers. It's alluded
So-
to, yeah.
I think this guy has some tricks up his down sleeves, you know.
Okay, I see what you did.
Like he's going to try to stall.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Well, the thing about that is we have a mute button for Jimmy, so and he's gone. We don't even hear him anymore.
No.
Isn't that amazing? Like no laughing, none of his ridiculous tangents, none of that stuff. Okay, we'll bring him back in. All right.
he's back.
So Jimmy, you were saying
I say he's going to try to stall.
stall. You think it's A try to
And
stall?
he's going to do that thing where he like pulls his claw off, and it looks like
Yeah.
Just
Ha.
dun, 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 dun.
absolutely
Yeah, okay.
right.
So you think he's going to
starts-
stall?
Yeah.
He
All right.
starts pulling,
Yeah.
handkerchiefs
Pulling
tied
his feathers
together
off.
Yeah.
out of
So
his.
he's a magician. I get it. So Jimmy said stall. Denzel and Stu both just said he said fuck it, throws the hands anyway and wins.
Yeah.
All right. So we will now find out the exciting conclusion to fairy
I'm
tale
excited.
trivia.
I'm
So
excited.
one or two things is going to happen. Either all of you are going to be wrong, in which
Yeah.
case Stu wins because it's a tie and he has a bonus point,
Mm-hmm.
or Jimmy's going to be right, in which he wins.
Yeah.
Or Denzel and Stu are going to be right, in which
Which
case
is-
Denzel
Right.
wins. So those of you doing March Madness, that's how you're still alive at this point.
All right.
If you have brackets of this
Okay,
podcast,
let's
at
do
home.
it.
Yeah. So how did this all end? He didn't get his skin in time, like he wanted, but the fight seems to be upon him. So the king was disappointed at not having recovered his skin, but he resolved to fight bravely without it. He advanced from the. So Jimmy, you're out. We still don't know how it's going to end, though. Yeah, so ultimately,
I
it would
honestly-
seem Stu's going to win no matter what happens. But let's see how this plays out.
I
so
honestly don't think I could have handled the pressure of being a champion.
No, yeah. Well, we haven't had
Heavy
much
is the
opportunity to
head.
find out. Maybe someday we'll learn. All right, so he advanced from the opening of his cavern with a proud and kingly bearing, and when he faced his enemy, he gave so terrible a growl that Wolf's heart stopped beating for a moment, and he began to realize that a fight with the wise and mighty king of his race was no laughing matter. So yeah, he realized he was about to find out.
Fuck around and find out.
Yeah, he was like, oh, shit. So after exchanging one or two heavy blows with his foe, Wolf's courage returned, and he was determined to dishearten his adversary by bluster. So now he's just going to try to talk shit, get him off his game. Come nearer, bird bear, he cried. Come nearer that I may pluck your plumage. Like just being a fucking twat. So the defiance filled the king with rage. He ruffled his feathers as a bird does till he appeared to be twice his actual size, and then he strode forward and struck Wolf so powerful a blow that his skull cracked like an eggshell,
Oh, my.
and he fell prone upon the ground. So just a crack.
I'm telling you, it's just
Face
this fucking
down.
slap of death.
Yeah, right. It really is. Just a fucking death blow. So while the assembled bears stood looking with fear and wonder at their fallen champion, the sky became darkened.
He's like, what you thought it was?
All right.
100 gulls flew down from above and dripped upon the king's body a skin covered with pure white hair that glittered in the sun like silver.
I knew it.
So now they come back with his skin and just drape it on him on top, and yeah, it's all glowing in the sun. And behold, the bears saw before them the well-known form of their wise and respected master, and with one accord they bowed their shaggy heads in homage to the mighty king of the polar bears.
Yes.
The end.
That's it? That's the end? What the fuck?
That's often how...
That's a weird story,
That
Frank.
is almost how every guest, when we get to them, like, wait, what the fuck?
That's how it ends, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
It
that's
was like
the...
I mean, it was-
And we're running out of time, so
let's wrap it up.
Frank.
I ran out of ideas. I Googled Frank Baum apparently was not a drug user.
No, he was not. Okay.
That's bullshit.
He wrote that
definitely
sober.
Well, that sounds
Yes.
like right. Yeah, right. That makes it
So-
worse.
Yeah.
That's almost worse.
Right? He was a psychopath.
This was on purpose. So that was the story of The King of the Polar Bears by L. Frank Baum, published in 1901, a year after the book, Wizard of Oz. Certainly the movie, I think, was made in the 1920s, something like that. That era, ways later.
We're not here about movies.
1942.
42, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, why not? We'll figure it out.
Now I gotta Google this shit.
But so this was written in 1901. So we have a little bit of obviously the background on the author L. Frank Baum. We know a little bit of some of his other things. 1901 was the turn of the century. Before the Great Depression, that kind of era. Now we've heard the tale as it was written then, and again, as we mentioned throughout this story, and as we often do, this was by and large presumed to be for children, to teach them a lesson, a moral, something of that
What's the
effect.
lesson?
So that's what we're going to ask you now.
Oh, that's right, because it had a thing at the end, right?
Yeah,
Synopsis.
So this is one of the few we've had this, I think, once before, where the author included like an anecdote to say a suggested lesson, but this is the first time where it just
think that was the Little Mermaid.
that might have been, yeah.
And the moral was Jesus.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was Hans Christian Andersen, so very well could have been. But this one specifically says this story teaches us blah blah blah. So I'm going to depart. If you've ever watched or listened to an episode before, we all participate in this, myself included. I kind of usually would chime in and say, "Well, this was my take on it as well." But since the author gave one, and I've already read that, and I know that one, I'm just going to use that as my take. That's going to be my take, the author's take. So you guys have heard the story. You know the background, when it was written, kind of what was going on at the time. What do you think L. Frank Baum was trying to teach kids? What do you think the moral of the story was? Would you like to go first, Stu?
Sure.
Go ahead. What do you think?
Trust humans.
Okay, yeah.
They'll fucking shoot you in the face.
Yeah, that absolutely. The only interaction he had was
steal your
shoot
fucking
him,
skin.
took his skin,
Awful.
and then
I think it's probably believe in yourself.
Okay.
Right? You can be different. It doesn't matter.
All right.
It's all what's inside.
Right. The beauty comes from within.
Yes. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter if you're
absolutely.
fucking pink skin thing,
Yeah.
whatever, creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I feel like that was a common kind of cultural message at the time. You think of the early 1900s, it was like the era of the parties, the Great Gatsby's. Everybody was having sex and partying and just no consequences. It was. It was the roaring 20s, up to that time. So, all right. So you think it was, hey, just the beauty inside, be proud of yourself.
Proud of yourself, baby.
You don't need a special coat or your original skin.
No,
All
it's you.
I like it. All right, Denzel, we'll work our way around the table. What do you think the moral of the story was?
All right, I think there's a couple morals here.
Uh-oh.
Couple? Yes. One is
there is a lot to unpack.
There's a
here.
lot to unpack. Yes.
All right. I guess. I missed
because
it, apparently.
first of all, for the other polar bears, stay loyal, because like the motherfuckers jumped up and got beat down.
Yeah.
Like they should have known not to
Know your place.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even just the polar bears.
Yeah.
Like the gulls stay loyal.
The gulls stayed
and they
loyal.
got fucking rewarded. They got to eat the first dead bear.
Sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm assuming at the end they were probably treated pretty well in the
100%.
kingdom. From that.
Yeah. So, and then on the flip side of that, for the polar bear king, like, don't let nobody test. Like, always be kind and gentle to people, but when it comes down to it, don't let people test you like that.
That's true. Yeah.
Because
because he was willing to concede a little bit. He's like, they got a point.
At his moment of weakness, they decided to come at the king.
Yep.
And like he's like, all right, I get it, but like cut me some slack. I've been here for you, and they didn't.
Right.
Yeah,
and
then they got lippy.
And then they paid.
and they had to figure it out. So that's what I think the moral of the story is.
A good king teaches,
Yeah.
with the sets an expectation.
Yeah.
And you like it. I love it. All right, Jimmy.
I mean, yeah, I think the moral of the story is obvious. Like, even though you can succeed without it, real fur is the best.
Yeah, don't go with the fake stuff.
Absolute,
Yeah, get this.
absolute.
Go
like,
straight to the polar bear.
Fur is murder,
For his murder.
and it is worth it. Absolutely.
Like it did. Like they
Right.
sent 100 seagulls to go back and get that skin. It
And
must have
that
been worth
skin,
something.
That shit just grows on animals, right? Like if
Absolutely
PETA
does,
throws paint on it, you can just go kill more.
Yeah, it's not like we're
That's-
gonna run out of pandas or polar bears or anything like that
Right,
anytime
right.
We
soon.
need a
They're
bear
everywhere.
farm.
Yeah.
When the fuck are we going to have that bear farm?
Yeah,
A
right.
bear
Bear
farm.
farm. Yeah.
So no, I think really the moral of the story is you can shoot a bear and it'll be fine.
It will.
Nobody
be
even
fine.
discussed that.
It just takes a little nap.
They were just like, they were like,
Birds will come by, take care of
Yeah.
it, give it a new skin.
fucked up.
Yeah, that is one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate lesson that a child in the early 1900s is like, oh, it's a polar bear. Shoot it in the head, it'll be fine. Like it'll get up, it'll be all good.
Take its fur. Wake up tomorrow, whatever.
No problem.
We're gonna go make Alaska.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, so all good takes, and as I mentioned, the author actually included one, so that's going to be my take. So according to the author, L. Frank Baum, I agree, I like all of your guys, but he says, this story teaches us that true dignity and courage depend not on outward appearance, but come rather from within. Also... So, Stu,
Also.
you're right there.
Oh, thank you.
So, Stu kind of nailed the first half of it. It's like the true. He kind of says more dignity and courage, but his point was it's not what you got on the outside; it comes from within. So you pretty much nailed that one.
All right.
Also, second message. Also, that brag and bluster are poor weapons to carry into battle. So Denzel kind of got that one right. He's like, look, if y'all wouldn't have just talked shit, you might have had a chance, you know, but then you decided to go in with that. And, and you got dealt with. Yeah.
And don't forget to buy Frank Baum's Dick Bomb.
Yes. Now, this episode brought to you by Penis Bomb, the greatest bomb on the planet.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the King of the Polar Bears by L. Frank Baum, 1901. I want to thank you guys so much. As always, Jimmy, Denzel, it was wonderful. Had a great time. And Stu McCallister, we'll put your information up on the screen again where people can go check out the Elemento podcast and all the great things you're doing, all your social medias and whatnot.
I can't believe he wrote that sober. I choose not to believe that.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. 1901, like, I'll bet you the Dick Bomb had cocaine in it.
Yeah, I was going to say,
everything.
Over-the-counter bottles of cocaine at that time. You got to remember, too.
It's whiskey and
laudanum,
cocaine.
perhaps, was there somewhere. So.
They didn't even count that shit as, like, being intoxicated.
No.
That was
My nose is running. I need some heroin.
Right. So, yeah. So, again, for Denzel Whitehead.
Hang on
wait. Hold on. Did we just find something?
I just want to look and see, like, if he was religious. And, he was a fucking lunatic. Apparently, he held seances and they consulted with clairvoyants and astrologers.
Oh, all right. So he was really into that cult stuff. Occult stuff.
The Theosophist is what they're saying. He joined it in
Theosophist.
1896.
A Theosophist, I think I've heard that before. Is what it sounds like.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
So he was doing all kinds of fucked
was
up.
a
He was drinking
religious
pig's blood
lunatic.
and shit. So, I don't think you have to say the religious part, or you'd like both. You could say one or the other. It's,
Right.
Yeah. So all right. Well, that's good to know. Thank you for
There
the
you go.
background, and
Sure.
thank you, Stu McCallister,
Thank
for
you.
being a guest.
Do you think he
my-
had to do some kind of weird ass ritual where he had to like skin a bear and then tar,
right,
and
yeah,
then
that's-
tar and
yeah.
feather it? And
He had to fight a bear.
I gotta tell somebody about this.
Right. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for Denzel Whitehead, Jimmy Bain, my co-host. I'm Johnny Hauser. This has been Blunts Upon a Time. Y'all have a great night. Oh wait, I gotta.
Once upon a time.
It's not proper. Yeah, you're right. It was weird,
That
but
was
now
a
we
weird
got
story.
it. Yeah, you never know what you're gonna get. That's for sure.
Try not to get drunk.